What's going on? It is December 10th, 3:21 p.m. Just came on here. Been been going kind of crazy, but it happens every once in a while. But I'm ready to get back into the groove. Um is what's today? Hump day. Today's hump day. And I'm like feeling pretty good actually. Just got back from Pennsylvania and then the gym. Ate some Chipotle because I had a free entree. Oh, but now I'm making this, and I gotta study for this math placement test I gotta take, which shall be I'm feeling good about it so far. Um, I just wanted to come on here basically talk about the fall not being failure, but it was more of feedback than failure. And I feel like a lot of time failure really isn't it. It is a thing because obviously there's a chance you just give up, but there's no failure until you give up. You know what I mean? Like the failure is feedback until you let it become a failure. You know what I mean? It's really counting on how you handle the failure versus the failure itself. Because if you're able to bounce back from the failure and come back even stronger to be able to do it again and again and again, and really just making sure that you do know that the delays are going to come sooner or later. Because man, I have been trying to get back into insurance and the delays, like I was supposed to start the start of this week, but the delays has now I gotta wait till this week coming up to start. And it's just and then my window's getting smaller for things I need to be able to do. That looks weird, my reflection behind there, but maybe it looks cool to you guys. But yeah, basically first thing I really wanted to talk about was just acknowledging the fall without any denial. So basically being able to be vulnerable enough with yourself first to be able to understand that yeah, I fell, but this is what I failed on. And then you figure out how to be able to bounce back from that. You know what I mean? Because a lot of the time, I feel like in my past, I would catch myself seeing a failure as, damn, like, what am I doing? And then just keep going without analyzing what happened before. But then now I've been like journaling a whole bunch and been able to like digest what I've been doing, like, helps me process more of what I've been doing. And I'm able to like make the little tweaks to be able to get better every single day. You know what I mean? But yeah, and the I'm big on the no denial part because I feel like a lot of the time we do our egos more hold us like, oh, we can't do wrong, but then we gotta remind like real life is gonna remind you that you are human and you're gonna mess up, you know what I mean? And if you're not messing up, then you're not trying because new things take messing up. Um, but then just allowing yourself to break without calling it quits, basically. So being able to understand that you are going through something and that it is a hard time right now and it's a groove, especially in sales too. I've realized, and not even sales but just life in general, the highs and lows are coming no matter what you're doing. So one day you're going to feel really good, the next day you're going to feel really like there's a possibility you feel really bad, but then you could ride it a little bit sometimes, but a lot of the times meow 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 meow. So you just have to be able to remind yourself that like when you're down in the bottom right here of the roller coaster, there's so much more energy to get straight back up. So when you're down, that energy going back up is going to be able to like it's like making those little tweaks. Like you make those little tweaks and then you become 1% better. And then that 1% can skyrocket you up and then you can ride that wave for a while. But you just have to remember to not call it quits because the failure that you're feeling is just the feedback that you're getting back from whatever you're doing. And it's definitely like it's nerve wracking. It is very nerve wracking to like feel like you're failing because like I feel like for me at least, I always feel like everything's just gonna be taken away like that. Like everything I work for is just I'm one step away from losing it all, you know what I mean? And and it's hard to overcome that feeling sometimes. But next thing is basically like how to analyze your fail without shaming yourself. So I feel like a lot of the time for me, like even today, yesterday, no, today, like I messed up. Well, someone I was with messed up, and they just delayed themselves, like they were a little late, like 10 minutes late to what they had to do, and they're like, "Oh, I'm so stupid," or like, "What am I thinking?" Or like, "I'm so," you know what I mean? But you have to remind them, you're human. You got to remember that we are human and we're going to mess up. So same thing for failing in something. You have to be able to analyze the failure without being too harsh on yourself and like and basically like cursing yourself really when you're talking that way about yourself because you're like telling yourself that you're this certain way or you're telling yourself that you're these things that you're really not. It's just you messed up as a human, so you gotta just okay, I messed up. Let me see where I can fix it so I don't mess up again. You know what I mean? And some ways to oh, why humans never reset to zero, you always reset stronger. So like when when you do have to reset and you fail and you have to reset everything you just did, you don't come back like not knowing knowledge. You're able to take that one thing and be able to work on that one thing again to be able to not have to worry about that thing ever again. Because when you're able to take a step back and be like, okay, this is what I messed up on. Let me work on this to see where I can go. And then it's shown up in another situation. Now it's like, oh, okay, I see it now. Now let me do what I've been working on. So it's like you're never gonna go back to 0% of what you used to be, like when you first started. That's why you have to stay consistent because when you stay consistent, that's when you can make a tweak today, another tweak, another tweak, another tweak, till 6 months down the road, and you're way better than you were 6 months before. But once again, it does take that effort to be able to actually make it happen because I talked about this before how like people are just there's a lot of people who are only working 50 to 70% of what they actually could be doing if they're even doing that. And when you really want something, especially like uh, I don't want to say a lot, but you want to hold yourself to a standard. There's a lot of effort that goes into it because it's not easy. Like genuinely, it's not easy at all. And shedding old habits too. I've realized that my spirit has been growing so often, like crazy in this past year and a half, 2 years. But I've realized I'm having to I'm still in the battle of fighting off my flesh because my flesh was grown for 18 years before this. So it's like it's stronger than what my spirit is because my spirit's only been around for 2 years. I still have those cognitive dissociants of like doing the old things I used to do, and I'm trying to shed them. And I do really think the best way for me that has helped is like being around community and holding yourself to really like holding yourself and the people you hang around like to a higher standard because you all know that you're doing more than a lot of other people do. Like and I'm not saying that as in an arrogant way or anything, but you actually like you want something more for yourself than just floating through life. You know what I mean? You have to hold yourself up that way and continuously remind yourself that that's you. Like that is you, but your human body has to catch up to that. Our souls and spirit, they don't have any timeline. They're everlasting. It's like it's just forever going. But our human bodies have to be able to catch up to the soul or spirit, whatever you want to call it, to be able to live in that inspiration that you do have because that's where that inspiration comes from. It comes from that person who was already that person. And that's you. You are that person already, but our human body has to catch up to that. And just yeah, the shedding the habits like I do think community is the best part, best way to do it. And like just keeping in touch somewhat with someone who you know that is like I don't want to say on the same path, but making themselves better. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people who don't care about their time, which then that means they don't care about your time. And then there's a lot of people who talk, but never do anything. Then there's people who are really smart. Like it blows my mind. Like people are so smart, but then have no inspiration. So then they give their knowledge up to someone else so that that other person can succeed, and they do that for like life. You know what I mean? But that's why you have to be around the right people who are trying to do something better for their life, because if you get stuck in that, then you start telling each other ideas to each other if you're comfortable enough, and then they start making you insecure about your own, excuse me, excuse me, they start making you feel insecure about your own inspiration because they're telling you what they would do if they were in your situation, and your situation's crazy to them because they don't understand what's going on. But and if they were in your position, they wouldn't be doing what you're doing. They would be very, and no, I'm gonna just sit here and do nothing. That's what they would be doing. And you don't want that. You know you do not want that. And I know it's hard to be able to do it, but you gotta choose what hard you want. Like there's a hard that you either stay the same for life, and that's way more harder than actually putting in the work now to be able to make your dreams come true, and then you could smooth sailings from there. And of course it's still going to be hectic when you do get to that point that you want, but then that's when you have to remember that you still have yourself. Like your happiness cannot come from these outside things. Your happiness has to come from within, and the outside things add on top of it. Yeah, it's going to be hard and you're going to get your ass kicked. Everyone is. Everyone is, but that's where you lean on your faith, because there's a difference between belief and having faith. Belief is going to church and having that epiphany or that conviction, like that's belief. But when you're thrown into now what you're thrown into what you want, but you have to work for it, that's faith, because now there's no cheers around you, there's no one cheering you on, there's no one telling you go 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 go. It's you and your inner self facing this challenge that you have in front of you. So you have to be able to be locked in here and in the spirit to be able to go through that stuff, because once you start going, there's no one right next to you working with you. You're by yourself, bro. You are by yourself. So you have to have that faith, not just belief, but faith within yourself that you can make this happen, because it's going to seem like you can't. It is going to seem like you can't. But that's when you lean on the faith that you have, that you have to lean on the faith that you have in God's plan for you, and how to like turn embarrassment and doubt and regret into data. So like when you have those moments, those are showing you like what you have to work on. Like being embarrassed, that's showing you, like counting on what, like okay, so going like door to door, counting on like how peppy and everything you are. Like it gets embarrassing sometimes, but you have to literally continue to embarrass yourself to be able to get to that sale. And the embarrassment, most of the time, it helps. Like, and the people who are laughing, they don't get it, so it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? But doubt as well. You gotta hear where those doubtful thoughts are coming from and why they're coming, because there's something missing there. Like there's something missing that you can work on to be able to get that doubt out of your head. And it's gonna, even when you do, sometimes like you go through the motions sometimes when you're in the middle of the grind, and it's like, dang, I don't know what I'm doing. But then you look on what you've done before and your accomplishments, and you're like, oh, I've already been here before. You know what I mean? And then regret too. I say turn that regret into jumping on any opportunity that there is there now, because I feel like a lot of time regret is just not doing when you feel like you should be doing. You know what I mean? Um, yeah. And why harsh self talk slows your growth? Because I was just talking about this, how when you like when you're labeling yourself with these things like, oh, I'm so stupid, or I don't know how to do this, or anything like that, your unconscious mind is believing you. Like all your thoughts, like they hear each other. Just because it feels like they don't hear each other, they hear each other. So then your conscious thoughts start to become your unconscious thoughts, and if you say that over a long time enough, that's when that doubt and everything comes in, because you're going to continuously, your conscious thoughts are gonna be like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. And then for if you keep doing that over a long period of time, your unconscious thoughts are going to be like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. 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 And it's going to slow your process, because you're going to continuously feel like you don't know what you're doing. Then you're going to get it burnt out more, because you feel like you need to work harder, but it's really just going back to who you know you really are. Because I feel like a lot of the time, for me at least, I get into it and then I'm like go, 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 but then I'm so go, go, go that I forget who I am. And then that makes me forget about the things that I've done in the past, which makes me feel doubtful for myself. And that's when like you really have to break down the three steps, the 3 step comeback plan to break down a 3 step comeback plan. Like to be able to understand what happened and why you have to come back in the first place. That's I feel like that's number one, just the awareness of it. Then to make a plan about how you're going to do it, or to understand what happened for you to fail, and then to make the plan of what's going to happen after to make that comeback. You know what I mean? That was a little more. If you're, I can go back into I can go into depth with that, but I feel like that's a whole other topic to be honest, because it's all situational really. So I'd say if you do want me to let me know. Stabilize yourself as well. So like rest, breathe, and gain clarity. So I feel like that's getting enough sleep, being able to breathe and like take in everything around you as well. Because a lot of the time you go, 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 and you forget about the things in front of you. And then gaining clarity is like getting into here and getting into what you be feeling. Because man, a lot of the time, once again, you go, 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 so you forget about who's in here. Like you're so in the world that you forget who's in here, and then you're not talking to that person anymore or that entity anymore. So it's like when you're able to work on those things, you stabilize yourself because when you're in the moment and you have to fight, there's no like, oh, I gotta rest now, I gotta rest now. No, rest in the time that you do have to be able to stabilize yourself within the battle. You know what I mean? Um, and then, like when you do fail, quote unquote, just rewrite the plan, adjust instead of abandon it. So like because obviously you have the inspiration of what you want to do for a reason. There is a genuine reason for you having that inspiration. So instead of you just abandoning it, abandoning your plan, try to make an adjustment to see where else you can make that plan happen because the adjustment can take you so much further. There's going to be failure within it, but you like there's going to be failure within the grind, but that's you making the tweaks to figure out what works for you. Like um but burnout and emotional exhaustion are definitely real as well because once again when you are going 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 you forget about yourself here and that's forgetting about yourself mentally and emotionally. So when you're doing that you're forgetting about yourself. Like I know it sounds so simple, but please just hold on to you're forgetting yourself when you are going going going. So reminding yourself that you do need the rest, you do need to be nutriated nutri you need to eat well, and you have to be able to get in within yourself to be able to understand what you actually want to do. Because a lot of the time, too, I felt like burnout came from me forcing things that I didn't need to force. So it was just like wasted energy, you know what I mean? But getting within yourself emotionally, spiritually, and mentally and physically to be able to understand what you really want to do, that's a very big part. I've realized that has helped me the most because when I wasn't, and I was just doing things because I was like, oh, might as well. I might as well. I got nothing better to do. It made me feel so empty, but so so drained. It made me feel so drained from working so hard on it because I was forcing it. But sometimes when I'm working on things I know I actually want to do, it's like it feels like yes, of course I'm putting effort in, but it feels effortless because I'm just like I'm enjoying the process of learning it. Um, and the difference between self-awareness and self-attack, self-awareness is going to open your eyes to things that you need to work on, and self-attack is going to destroy yourself really because when you're attacking yourself, you're doing the same thing everything else is doing around you to make you feel that way in the first place. Why are you going to be another enemy on top of all the other enemies that you have in the world? I'm not saying like villain enemies. I'm just saying like the battles that we have in this world. Like you're adding on to those battles instead of trying to fight them back. Like you're fighting yourself on the other team instead of fighting on your own team against the stuff that you're dealing with. So just remember that the self-awareness is for you to get better. But if you're just disrespecting yourself and taking it all out on yourself, it is never going to get better because you're always going to be pulling yourself down, pulling yourself down. That's why I put in here that's why I put in here why harsh self-talk slows your growth because you're pulling yourself down just like everything else is pulling yourself down. You got to be the one to pull yourself up. But yeah, man, that's really all I got now. Hope you guys gained something from this. I know it's a little short one. I'm not gonna lie. I'm stressed out with everything that's going on with like work and school. So I'm trying to give out good content and everything, but this is definitely like this is definitely something I have to be putting on the back burner right now because I got two other major things I need to like be putting my energy really in. And but this is what I love. Like I love doing this, but it's just a little it's hard to get to it with everything else going on. But I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm still on once a week podcast, and I feel like my social media. I think I'm posting like every 2 3 days. And I know that's bad. I know that's bad, but I'm trying. I hope you guys have a good rest of your week. Good things are coming. Good things are on the way. Peace.